Right, so last that we left off was this last transaction here, right? We received a bill from Miss Miss Kim Robinson, right, for her interior designing, right? Since we received a bill, we are assuming that we're not going to pay it yet, so this became our very first accounts payable account. And we recorded it in our journal, ledger, and subsidiary ledger, okay? So then now, next thing that we need to do is we are going to continue on with the scenario, and on that very same day, the 7th, we end up receiving a bill from furniture store along with the items as well, okay? Now, let's take a look at this bill here. So here, right, we have the billing information. Net terms are net 15. The shipping date was June 7, okay? And, of course, let's see what happened here. We bought one counter, okay? And we bought 5 display shelves, right? We were already quoted for $15.43, but here we had to be taxed at 8.25%, which gave us a total of $127.30 plus shipping. Okay, we got delivery charges of $100, which gives us our grand total to be $17.70.30. Okay, and then in this case, because we received a bill, our assumption is we got 15 days to pay for it. So I'm gonna say we're gonna pay it later. Okay, we're gonna pay it later. So another thing that you need to know here is at the top of here, it tells us that we are going to be splitting the shipping 75% to the counter and 25% to the shelves. Okay. Reason I do this is because in this case, if you really want to, you can divide it amongst the cost. Okay, it is up to you if you want to divide it by the cost. Okay, like you're gonna get the overall total here and distribute 75% there and then 25% there. You can actually go by unit per basis. So if this is the case, right, I have 1 unit compared to my other display shelves, which is actually significantly lesser, but in this case of quantity wise, there's 5 display shelves. So you can divide the shipping that way. But in this case, let's really think about it, okay? A counter is probably going to be really heavy, right? We weren't specific on what kind of counter I bought. I could have bought a granite counter if I really wanted to, right? It's not specific. But display shelves should be fairly light. Okay, unless you get like glass display shelves, but in this case, we weren't specific either. So in this case, the assumption here is, well, let's take a look. Obviously, shipping is based by weight. Okay, and if we really take a look at this, we can already tell that the counter is going to be more heavier than 5 display shelves. So in this case, what I say is at least more than 50% of the weight is going to be distributed to the counter, while in this case, the display shelf should be not even as heavy as the counter. So that's why in this case, since I'm the accountant, I'm telling you as the bookkeeper that I decided I want to split 75% of the freight to the counter and the other to the display shelves. Okay? So once again, how am I going to journalize that I received my counter and display shelves? How do I journalize that I acquire a counter and display shelves? Anybody?
but like we would just put counter and display shelves.
Good, right? Let's take a look at my chart of accounts. Do I have an account for a counter and an account for display shelves?
Yes.
Yes, I do. That's my liability, excuse me. Yes, I do, right? Right here under furniture, I have a counter, 1320, and display shelves, 1340. So in this case, I acquired what? I acquired a fixed asset, okay? So that's the first thing I'm going to do here is recognize that I bought a counter and display shelves. Okay. Now, how did I pay for these counter and display shelves? On an account. So in this case, good. Accounts payable. Because we choose not to pay now, we choose to pay it later because they billed us. Okay. In this case, we've already used accounts payable for from the previous transaction. So it's account number 20,000. Okay. Now here's the question here. Because we bought fixed assets, right? How much is my counter and how much are my display shelves? What's the total amount that's going to be? Okay, so let's look at the invoice, right? What is considered the cost of the asset if I purchase a fixed asset?
Would the total be?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You go ahead. Would it be the 1770/30?
1770/30. How? Okay, so that's the grand total between the counter and the display shelves. Right? That's my grand total amount that I am being billed for, but in this case, I need to keep a separation between my counter and my display shelves because they're two separate furnitures or two separate pieces of items. So my question to you is, okay, looking at the invoice, right? What is going to be considered a part of the cost of the asset? Right? Can I divide 1770/30 in half and say, well, 50% of the bill is going to go to the counter, 50% of the bill is going to go to the display shelves?
No.
No, you can't, because in this case, I definitely did not pay what is it? 1,000. Like I did not pay them split in half. Okay? So then how would I be able to calculate how much my counter is versus how much my display shelves are?
Would you calculate the tax for each individual and then divide the delivery charge to them?
Correct. So in this case, my my counter was 1033, right? And my display shelves is $510. Okay. The taxes on that is going to be, I'm going to do equal round here. 0.825%. Okay. And I'm going to also do the same thing for this one. Okay. So here, this is my total items here. This is my total tax. Okay. So what do I do with the shipping? Is shipping going to be the part of the total cost of the asset?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so in this case, I already gave you the hint from the very beginning, right? The counter is obviously going to weigh way more than just simple display shelves, right? So how I said, what I tell you to do is split it 75% to the actual counter and 25% to the display shelves. Okay? So, what's 75% of 100? $75. $25 for the display shelves. So in this case, right, $100. Now, let's sum up the totals. Okay? So right here, I have $1193.22 for my counter, $577.08 for my display shelves, giving me a grand total of $1770.30, which is my total bill, right? So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy this information here. So this is 1193.22, and this was 577.08 to give me a grand total of 1770.30. Okay. All right. So now that I have my items split, what kind of information do I need to have in order to record this transaction? What do I need to say about this transaction? Who's my vendor? Who did I buy from? We bought. That's us. So in this case, we bought this from the furniture store. Good. Now in this case, you to say that we bought a counter display? No, you don't need to. However, other useful information would be the invoice number. Okay, so the invoice number. Well, what was the billing number that I got billed? 69. Okay, and other information I could say here too is, did they give me any terms? So in this case, my terms here is I don't get a ticket discount. However, the bill is still due in 15 days. Okay? That's all that you should really need. Okay? Now, before I move on to anything, right, here's one thing that I can at least ensure that I actually received. So in this case, I need to go to my purchase orders because I received one of my items, right? This is a checkoff list, so in case you order, right? And one day you get everything except for one item, you can go back to this and refer to which items that you're still pending on or items that you need to call up your vendor for to say, hey, you haven't shipped me out. Where are these items, okay? So in this case, right, we did buy a counter and display shelves, right? Right here for the 1500. But in this case, of course, I have to add the tax and add the shipping here. So in this case, which was the invoice number that I got billed? I got billed was number 69. So at least I can say I received the items. Okay. I received the items number 69. Okay. All right. Now, I didn't write any checks. I didn't make any deposits yet. So in this case, right, I can proceed with the rest of my journal, which I already finished. So that means I can go ahead and safely post it to my ledger account. Okay. So in this case, I acquired some assets, right? I acquired some furniture. All right. So here's my counter. Right? You can say what the shipping, what the price of the item was, which is $10.33. Okay, plus 8.25% tax, which was, let's see, how much was the tax? Tax was $85.22. $85.22. Okay, plus $75 shipping. Okay. General Journal, we're on General Journal 2. Okay, and this was a debit for $11.93.22. Right, that was the total price of my counter. Okay. All right, display shelves. I bought display shelves, $102 per shelf. So 5 display or I can say 5 shelves at $102 each. Okay, equaling $510 plus 8.25% tax, which was a total of $42.08. Okay, plus $25 shipping. Okay, General Journal number 2, and this time it was $577.08. Okay. And then last but not least, right, because we didn't pay it now, we decided to pay later. We need to go to our accounts payable account and we need to update our account. Right? All I need is just one thing, which is the invoice number, because that can tell me a lot. If I pull up the invoice number, it's going to tell me everything that I need to know. Okay? And this time I paid $17.70.30. Now this is where the other formula is going to come into play, because this one is going to work backwards, because in this case, right, we're looking at our credit amounts increasing by a credit, and we're looking that debits are going to decrease my credits. So in this case, right, you're going to take your previous balance of $1,000, right? You're going to add any credit. So in this case, you're going to add $17.70, and you're going to subtract the last left blank column in the debit side. because again, you're going to be adding your numbers between the first two columns, which is a debit or credit, right? The account balances has nothing to do with it at all, right? This debit balance would not affect your liabilities account. It's just only the credit balances. So in this case, I'm going to go up 1 plus left 2 minus left 3. Okay, and that's going to give you a grand total of $2,770.30. So that means every time I add a debit, it's going to decrease my liabilities. And every time I add a credit, right, it's going to add to my account balance. Okay, and this number, right, once you put the formula in here, you can drag it all the way down to the bottom of the table to get your running balance. Okay. Okay. So now that I have this here, right, we finish our journal, we finish our ledger. Last but not least, we need to deal with our vendor because now I owe furniture store some money. So, subsidiary ledger. So, let me see, furniture store. Here's furniture store. Okay. Let's see. Today's a 7. Okay. We bought 1 counter. Okay, which equaled $11.93.22. So if you need to return it, right, this is what, well, you can't return the shipping, but you understand that this is what it cost me. Okay. Plus, or if you want to, you can take out the shipping if you'd like. Plus 5 display shelves, right, which yield you $577.08. Okay. Let's see. Invoice number 69. Post reference, right? We're still on page 2. Terms, they gave you terms. It was net 15, right? So what does this tell me? If I have net 15, right? Obviously, there's no discount due date. But, however, we can come up with the actual due date. So in this case, right, if you're using Excel, you can just enter in the formula here and it will get you your number. Or you can choose to count with your fingers, right? Or look at a calendar and count how many days after you receive the bill. So we received the bill on the 7th. So what is 15 days from now?
The 22nd.
It's the 22nd. Okay, good. So again, I can take my date here, add 15, and I'd get the 22nd. Okay, so in this case, what was my invoice amount? What was I billed for?
$17.70.
Good. Did I return anything? Did I get a discount? And did I pay? No. So in this case, the formula is invoice minus prepaid minus returns minus discounts minus payments, and here I owe furniture store $17.70 and 30 cents. Okay. All right. And that is it for this transaction. Okay.